Hi, Larissa here, and welcome to video number 2 in my 4-part series about practicing functionally. So I'm introducing the 3 core tenets to the functional approach to healthcare, which is what I use when I work with clients. And I'm also going to be talking in the 4th video about what exactly functional nutrition is and what exactly I do as a functional nutrition gut health coach, as I call myself. So, first of all, I just want to let you know that the approach that I'm talking about in this series is based on what I've learned through my studies with internationally acclaimed functional medicine nutritionist and educator Andrea Nakayama. And the principles are based on the teachings of the Institute for Functional Medicine. In video number 1, I talked about the first tenet, which was root cause resolution. If you missed that video, go back and watch it after this one. But just a quick recap, we want to always address the underlying root causes of any sign, symptom, or diagnosis rather than just treating or suppressing the symptoms. So if you want real long-term resolution and you want to actually achieve optimal health, then this is the approach that needs to be taken. Otherwise, if you just suppress symptoms, things are going to keep bubbling up underneath, and eventually there's going to be another problem. So by practicing root cause resolution, we are not just treating a diagnosis. In fact, it doesn't even matter if we know what is the diagnosis, because there's a lot of conditions these days that we don't have a name for, we don't understand. Like IBS. IBS is like a very general term. And so if I take the example from my last video of having 2 women with the same diagnosis, IBS, same symptoms, constipation, diarrhea, stomach pain and cramping, bloating, indigestion. As I said, they're going to have potentially, and most often, different underlying root causes. Some of them will be the same, but some of them unique. So this brings us to tenet number 2, which is that we need to use the right systems and tools. We need to go beyond protocols, because when we use standard protocols, it's assuming that a one-size-fits-all approach is going to work for everyone. But that's not the case, because as I talked about in video number 1, we need to think about bioindividuality, that we are all unique. And so what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for the other person, even if they have the same symptoms or diagnoses. So when practicing functionally, we are taking a full body systems approach. And we are looking at all of the physiological systems in our body as being interconnected. So we can't continue with the current healthcare approach of looking at these systems or organs in the body in isolation. We need to look at them collectively because they are so interconnected. And this allows us to optimize the whole terrain of our body, which is another concept I talked about in video 1, that if we don't even know all of the root causes or we don't know the exact diagnosis, it doesn't matter, because we know by optimizing all systems in the body, we give our body a chance to naturally heal, because our body really wants to heal if we just give it the right environment and the right nutrients and give it the best chance of doing what it's meant to do. And so just to clarify, what is not functional is if we take these same 2 women with IBS and we apply the same one-size-fits-all protocol. What is functional is we look at why each of them has the symptoms and the diagnoses that they do. And so we use a specific tool called the Functional Nutrition Matrix. And the Functional Nutrition Matrix allows us to collect information, detailed information about an individual's family history, personal history, their environment, any triggering events that might have led to these clues as to those root causes. Also finding out which things maybe cause flare-ups in their symptoms. And so this functional nutrition matrix, it allows us to kind of map out all of the different symptoms or diagnoses according to all the physiological systems of the body and collect information in a systematic way that makes it easier to create an individualized approach, but also to look at where we need to optimize the terrain of that individual's body. And so we're using the signs and symptoms and diagnoses to give us clues as to where there's dysfunction in these different physiological systems. And then we're applying a protocol that is individualized. And so the protocol that I apply that comes from my mentor, Andrea Nakayama, is called the art of the practice, which is to assess, recommend, and track. So when I work with an individual, I do a very thorough assessment to collect all of the information about their health history, family history, that would give relevant, important clues as to their unique root causes and unique clues about which systems of the body need some attention. And then based on that really thorough assessment, start with just a few recommendations and then track how those recommendations work for the individual, because it is detective work. If you or someone you know is that person that has gone from doctor to doctor and tried some of these standard protocols and not gotten any results, or just not gotten full resolution, or you're stuck on a really restrictive diet, then this is the approach that is going to give you the best chance of true long-term resolution and optimal health, because it's not just about getting rid of those annoying symptoms, but we also want optimal health so that we aren't masking symptoms, and then because we didn't address the underlying root cause, we end up with other health issues down the line. We have to look at these symptoms as signs from our body. It's our body telling us that something is not right. And they are really, really important clues as to what's going on in there. When we really know what's going on in there, then we are able to go beyond just treating the symptoms. And this is why I really, really love this approach, because it is for everyone. For those people, especially who are so fed up with going to another doctor and being told that their protocol is the solution or answer to their problem, only to be disappointed with the results. And, spending a lot of money too. It's frustrating that you're spending all this money, putting all this trust in this expert, and, they're so convinced, they convince you that their approach is going to work, and then it doesn't. So what I love about my approach is that it really does work for everyone, because it's individualized and because of these 3 core tenets that I'm introducing in this series. And I'll be talking more in the final video about this protocol, the assess, recommend, track, and how I work with individuals. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, put them below or send me a direct message, and I'm always happy to respond. Thanks for listening.